The district that I represent, I'm receiving phone calls by the scores because they woke up to this shock that we are sharing in our region 3 congressional districts. And I challenge the Republicans to defend the preservation of counties, preservation of communities of interest, and preservation of core of prior districts. This is a shock where Jim Jordan is representing downtown Toledo. And we still don't have precise maps. So we don't know how the census tract will match the actual sense that they made out of the political maps that we see here today. So we'll be fighting this. I think District 9 is an example of where we're going to be in court challenges for a long time. So this was something that was our worst nightmare. If you could have designed district maps to be the worst, that's what we saw here yesterday. And to vote out this important bill within 24 hours and not have precise maps and data analysis is the most irresponsible vote I have ever had in the 11 years that I've been here. So I think it's time that the people of Toledo and around Ohio demand public hearings on the map that we're supposed to be voting on today and voting on the House floor. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Letson.
For the last 2 years, a proposal put forth by Secretary of State Houston and a proposal put forth by myself tried to bring together an idea that would preserve communities of interest, would preserve communities, that being municipalities and counties, and try to make as compact districts as one could possibly make. And by that way, sharing a congressman with the person across the street from you would be possible. 160 times in this particular drawing, that is not possible. We have literally gone down the middle of the road in 160 communities and says your next door neighbor and you are not represented by the same person, even though you've lived in the same town, township, or county your whole life. This is absurd. There are a lot of ways to describe it, but I can think of no word better than this presentation is simply absurd.
Are there any questions? We have been so clear.
Republicans said that you had the same mapping tools and resources. Why didn't you present a map even though you knew it wouldn't win approval?
The fact is that today, unlike years past, the tools are available for the public to draw maps. It doesn't have to be done simply in secret and taken as gospel as has been done in prior decades, prior years. And this year, the League of Women Voters and I believe the Secretary of State's website both have software available so that average, everyday citizens can get on there and draw maps. And that is what has been done. It's my understanding that there are a number of maps that have been submitted on these congressional districts from people in the community. The League of Women Voters did a contest and had a Republican legislator from Illinois, is my understanding, that has submitted maps that are more compact, more competitive, make a lot more sense than the map that's been submitted by the Republican majority here. So there are plenty of maps available. We stand ready, willing, and able to work with the Republicans on coming up with a reasonable map if they would like to do that. They've shown no interest in including Democrats at any level, in any phase of this process, as they have done with other major pieces of legislation for the last 9 months. Democrats have been excluded, the public's been excluded, and this is no different.
Speaker Budish, I remember covering the League of Women Voters last year. They were pleading with you as House Speaker. They were pleading with Governor Strickland. They were pleading with Senate President Bill Harris to create a nonpartisan commission to get legislation through that would take this out of majority control and turn it over to a nonpartisan commission. Your party didn't jump on board with that. Republicans didn't jump on board. It was sort of roll the dice and let's see what the election results bring. Now that we're here, will you pledge the Democratic Party to support this nonpartisan effort so that we don't roll the dice each election cycle and have the majority party be in this position of kind of rolling over the minority?
There's been some rewriting of history by some of the media as to what happened over the last 2 years. Let me make it very clear. Nobody at all worked harder than I did to come up with an objective and fair redistricting reapportionment proposal. We passed through the House a reapportionment proposal that included and was based largely on objective criteria. We worked closely with the League of Women Voters, and I believe that they supported our position publicly. Senator Houston also worked very hard, and nothing I say is undercutting that. He worked very hard to come up with a rational, better plan than what we have today. His focus on the makeup of the apportionment board, his focus on creating a supermajority, etc. We came up with two different approaches. Our approach, we feel, was better, but certainly his approach was also better than what we have today. After the two bodies both passed legislation, the Senate passed theirs, the House passed the plan as well. Again, our plan was strongly, I believe I'm stating it accurately, strongly supported by the League and others. Senator Houston and I met. We worked on coming up with a compromise. I believe we reached a compromise agreement, but unfortunately at that point, neither of us was able to sell it in Senator Houston's case to the Senate, in my case to the House, keeping in mind that we had all 53 Democrats supporting the plan, but we needed Republicans as well because we did not have enough for the requisite number to get it on a ballot initiative on our own. So to point a finger at the Democrats, I think, is simply inaccurate and incorrect. I'm not suggesting you were, but the fact is that we worked very hard to come up with a plan, and unfortunately it didn't happen.
Leader, what are your thoughts on the new 3rd district here in Franklin County? There's often this dynamic where some of your members, particularly in the minority caucus, want to see more districts with higher minority voting populations that they believe minority candidates can win, but at the same time doing that packs Democrats into districts and creates what we have here, which is essentially a Democratic district surrounded by heavily Republican seats. Do you like what happened?
This map is not a good map, period. So the fact is that communities are being divided all over the state, including Franklin County. Areas are being put together that do not have common interests all over the state, including Franklin County. But, I mean, it's all over. We have a District 4 that has Oregon and Springfield together. We have District 11 that puts Euclid and Bath Township together. We have District 13 that put Youngstown and Peninsula together. We have District 15 that puts Upper Arlington with Athens. We have District 16 that puts Westlake with Orville. I mean, you know, this is a bad map. If the public were included and given an opportunity, perhaps the Republicans would create a better map. That's what public input is all about. The public has been excluded time and again this year from having input in major legislation. Democrats have been excluded time and again this year from having input in major legislation. It's not the right approach.
You talked about election confusion. Give me an idea of how that would play out if this map is tied up in the courts for months.
Well, it's not clear how it would play out, and I don't want to speculate. I'm still hopeful that the majority will agree to extend a little bit more time for the public, in which case we'd be happy to support extending we'd be happy to support an emergency clause, but we need more time for the public.
So you don't think litigation is inevitable?
I don't think anything's inevitable. Except maybe, well, I won't even make the joke.
Your party chairman has raised the potential of a referendum on the congressional maps. Is that something you would consider?
These maps are not very good, and I can't comment on, we haven't had opportunity to consider this map more than, as Representative Lundy said, 24 hours. But I'm sure all options will be considered given this extreme map that just slashes and burns communities all over the state.
One more question, guys.